What if the biggest breakthrough in your business isn't about finding the right strategy, but rather recognizing that your business has its own core purpose? Just like every element of creation has a place, your business isn't just a career path. It's actually a calling aligned with your unique gifts and purpose. Let me show you just what I mean. Okay, so here's what I've noticed in working with hundreds of different purpose-driven entrepreneurs. So many of us start out our business with thinking that our skills or our unique talents or finding a way to navigate the market is just following a trend or an opportunity. But what I've come to find is that there is a much deeper meaning behind all of it. Now, I want to share something that's a little bit personal with you. When I first started my business journey, I thought that I was creating this successful business, and it wasn't really until, I would say up until recently, that I had this experience when I was in New York in the Goldman Sachs program, and I realized that our business journey is related to something that it has a unique design behind it. It is all part of God's business plan. And when I was creating Eden and Empire and my brand legacy blueprint, I realized that our business was designed to honor God in a very specific way and to give Him the glory in all of it. What I found in crafting all of this as I was going through Eden and Empire, and if you listen to my past episodes, I talked about how it kind of came to be that I was missing God in all of this. I took a step back and I went back and looked at what is God's intention for business? What does He have in store in giving us the ability to be co-creators? It helped me honestly reveal something that was kind of profound, and that every business has a divine design behind it. It was meant to be done in a very specific way. And listening to the things that we have as entrepreneurs, as our gifts that we were given, as the talents that we have, our unique perspective on things, that's not by chance. God gave us those perspectives, those unique talents and gifts as a means for us to go out and serve people in a way that only we can impact them. And I think a lot of times that as we're going through, we often get stuck in thinking that we see other people with successful businesses and we wonder, how did they get there? Or we kind of play that comparison game and we think, okay, I see them doing that, but why can't I have that? And then from there, we take a look at what people are doing in our industry and we try to copy their paths, when every single thing that God created has its own specific purpose and its own unique intention. So every plant, every animal, every living creature on earth was designed for a very specific purpose. And the same holds true for you and your business, right? Those experiences that you've had, the challenges that you've overcome, the way that you see things in your own light and your own specific solution to problems, none of those things were random, and we weren't meant to go out and copy others. And while it's great to use other individuals, the things that they're doing within the market, your competitors, if you want to call them that, the things that you're doing and trying to implement them, that's totally fine. But if we try to copy it 100% to a T, what ends up happening is that it was never meant for us. And we're not honoring the uniqueness that God has filled us with. And so then we get stuck, and it ends up being something that, we think, oh, that failed, or that wasn't the right thing to do or whatnot, because in all honesty, we're duplicating the efforts of someone else when in reality we were meant to do things in our own specific way. When we look at their strategies and their offers and their marketing and we try to replace it with ours, it ends up not working, right? And there's nothing wrong with learning from others. So I don't want you to kind of get into that mindset that what I'm saying is you can't learn from other people, you can't implement, you can't implement the things that you're doing. But what I want to say is that there's something powerful that happens when we can recognize that we have our own unique design. And you'll see, kind of like if you go back into the Bible and you look at Genesis, Adam was given a very specific role in the Garden of Eden. He was set there to God gave him the opportunity to be a co-creator, and he gave him the opportunity to name all the animals and have dominion over them. And just like Adam had that very specific role within the garden, we have a very specific role within our marketplace. And what ends up happening is you realize it's not just about what you're doing, it's about how God designed you to do something. So when I first launched my business and my coaching program, I had essentially gone into it with the mindset that I'm a forever student and I love learning from others. I just love intaking all the information and wanting to quote unquote fail faster. Like I want to take the things that people have failed with per se, and if you want to use that term, the things that they've failed, and take that and create my own experience from it, right? Like I want to see the things that didn't work for them and avoid them, essentially is what it is. And I'm just trying to intake as much information to be the best at it as I can be, which that's like a Gallup strength of mine that I'm just like, I can't remember what the term is, but I love learning. And so when I started my coaching program, I tried to follow every other expert's playbook. Like I tried to copy and paste. I tried to structure my content exactly like they were and using their marketing approaches, and I tried to match their energy. What ended up happening is that I went through, and I talked about this in the last episode, but I went through and I created the brand legacy blueprint, had it all mapped out. Something didn't feel right. I felt very misaligned because that wasn't how it was intended to be. I wasn't doing it in the way that God had intended for me to create my very specific program. And it wasn't until I stopped trying to be, the next Susie over there. I will always reference Susie, so if your name is Susie, I apologize. But it wasn't until I started embracing my own unique way of doing things that, that I was able to combine my faith, my heart, and my hustle, that I felt like everything changed. My impact started to deepen and my message really clarified. And it wasn't just about that component. I felt like I was finally walking in my calling. And I think that you'll know when you're in that moment, when you stop trying to implement all of the other things that people are doing in a copy and paste type of way. You take bits and pieces from what they've guided you to do, but put your own spin on all of it. And this is what happens when we're walking in our divine design. It's not just about strategy. It's about stepping into a very specific calling that God has for you and your business, because He allowed us the opportunity to co-create alongside Him, which also means the opportunity for our unique gifts, our talents, and everything to fall into place alongside that. Because if He wanted everybody to be robots and create things, in an assembly line and with a very specific system, He probably would have wrote an exact playbook for that. And while we have the Bible to guide us, what I would suggest doing is at the end of each day, write down one moment that felt completely natural to you as you're going through your day. Right? As you're going through your process, those times where you're serving a client and it feels just so natural, it flows. And it's often a clue into finding what God is calling you to do. You start to notice these patterns and pay attention to the energy that you feel during certain times of the day. And as you're in a certain process, like a certain part of your business. One of the things that I recognized is that newborn photography no longer served me, because I felt like I was coming into it with a feeling of kind of like, oh, I don't know if I love this. And at the end of a session, even though I loved being with the family, I just felt so drained. And I wasn't going into sessions feeling very excited, or the editing process being a part that I loved. I think that you will know based on how you're feeling whether you're within your calling or not. When I stepped into this space of coaching and I was able to speak to so many women and help them feel those wins, I knew that that was for me. And so just paying attention to specific parts of your business and the areas that you just in general feel very specific feelings towards. And so maybe as you're talking to people, this might even come up. You know, they mentioned certain parts of your process that were so helpful to them, that might have been unique or complex, or just areas that only you can be an expert in, and you're seeing a lot of compliments, a lot of great feedback. You can naturally, what ends up happening is you can naturally spot the times when you're in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. You're showing, in those moments, you're really showing a part of yourself that you are within your divine calling. And as you go into a deeper understanding of all of this, you'll be able to discern whether it's for you or not. And this is something that we go deeper in within Eden and Empire, and so I feel really passionate about it. But that would be my suggestion, is if you are feeling like you're in a place where you're stuck or you're not in alignment and you don't really enjoy what you're doing, listen to that. Recognize that as part of an indication that God is trying to lead you into a different path. And I don't want you to feel like what you're doing in that moment is, you know, a failure, or you need to just completely rebrand and restart everything that you're doing. Use it as a guide. And use that as part of what you do in this next pivot state. If you feel like you're in alignment with your calling, figure out a way to maximize on that. Make a signature offer that you have within your service, or if you have a product, pay attention to what people are purchasing most and make more of that and do variations of those things. So using what's working really well and building upon that, and taking the things that maybe don't serve you in the capacity that you'd like, or you don't enjoy doing them, and getting away from those things. Even if they're things that make you money, that's okay for you to step away, because I promise you, once you are in alignment fully with your calling, you'll be so passionate about it, and you'll be speaking about it all the time, and people will naturally know that you were made to do this, and God will help align everything. He will bring you the people because it's what you were always intended to do. So that is what I have for you today. If you have any questions and you want to reach out and say, hey Vanessa, I just need a little bit more about this, please reach out. But until then, I will see you in the next episode, guys.